Hello and welcome to another episode here with Queen City Reefs and more. I am back from vacation. We literally just got here about 30 minutes ago. I got a chance to look at everything, but I figured I was waiting for a little bit of peace and quiet in order to actually film this. I'm not gonna do a lot right now. I'm gonna show you more tomorrow morning because right now I'm only gonna worry about filling up the auto top off because that's actually what I think was a close one. So here, let me turn the camera around and I'll show you here in a minute what I'm talking about. So here is the tank. Again, you'll get to see this tomorrow when the lights are back on. But I walked into this auto top off being completely empty. And I had actually overfilled this with water, and it is pretty much right there, right before the heater. Maybe I overestimated thinking that it would last for 3 weeks, but if you can see here, the water is below the level. I did leave the fan on because it's what keeps this tank cool. If I don't, it gets up to 80 degrees. Leaving the fan on is another reason of why it evaporates even faster. Let's take a look at the Red Sea. Here is the Red Sea. You'll get a little glimpse of it. Oh man, I already see this urchin carrying around one of my mushrooms. Let's see where the auto top off is at. Here, this is under half, so that's pretty good. Could last longer then. So I knew this one would last at least 3 weeks. I was thinking the other one would last 3 weeks, but it looks like it went faster than anticipated. I will see you here in the morning so that y'all can check out exactly what the tank looks like after leaving it for 19 days. All right, so it's the next day now, and I hadn't had a chance to really get around to this. I mean, I came straight to work the next day, and then I'm home, and this is exactly what they look like. You'll see all this nasty algae growing all over the place, but the corals in here, specifically in this one, look very good. Let me show you the MegaMatrix. Here we have the MegaMatrix. As you can see, we have a lot of algae on the glass, and so, but if you look through, you'll notice that all the corals look pretty good. For the most part, I would say that all the fish look good, but for the most part, the tank looks great. Everything that was expected to happen, like the algae growing on the glass, that's to be expected, so never freak out on that. What's most important is how the corals are doing and making sure that all the fish are well as well. Actually, now that I'm looking through here, I do see some dead heads of this torch here. Luckily, the other heads are doing good, so looks to be like that was a loss right there. So I'm gonna clean this tank and then I'll come back to it once it's clean so we can take a closer inspection and see what else is doing very well and what did not make it or is not doing well. All right, so here we are after I've actually cleaned up most of the tank. The only side I did not clean is that one. I'll get to that one later. When I tell you that it was a pain in the behind to clean this glass because the algae had gotten stuck, so I had to actually change the blade because this most likely, since I don't change it that often, most likely this was a little dull. So once I changed it, it was a little bit better, but it still took a few swipes to actually be able to get the algae off. So now that it's clean, I'm able to actually see a lot more, and so I wanted to talk about that a bit. Overall, the tank looks great, as you can see. Overall, a lot of the corals still look great. And so I'm thankful for that after this, 18 days that I was away. And to be honest, it was more of 19 because I did not actually come straight to clean it. All I did on the day that I got here was top off the container, as you saw in the previous clip. And I did that for every tank. And then I decided to call it a night. And then I had to go to work the next day. So we'll start here at the left. Hellfire torch. Lost a few heads. The head remaining seems to be doing really good, so I'm gonna leave it at that. The Holy Grail torch here is doing great. This green, I believe, cotton candy torch is doing great. The orange peel in the back is doing great. This reverse tiger torch is doing great. I'll get, let me get to, I guess, the ones that matter. So there's this back one that only has a few polyps left. That is a Goniopora. That's not doing too great. I'm also not getting any polyp extension from the one in the back over here. So if you can see, if these fish don't stop photobombing. If you can see straight in the middle, that's a Gani that I'm not able to get for the tentacles to come out. So I moved it under in the shadow there, so maybe I'm hoping that will help. I did have a Americultured Glitterbond Gani that was on the verge of death, and I was able to get it to my friend Brandon to see if he can bring some life back into it. One of the ones that I'm noticing die off on some STN is the Cali Tort, and this is the one that's done so good for me, but for some reason I am getting some STN that looks to have started at the bottom and it's moving its way up. Let's see what else. I have a lot of these corals, man. I'm able to see a lot of growth on the right side of this PC Rainbow, a lot of growth on the right side of the Blue Stag that I have there, a lot of growth on this WWC After Party, a lot of growth on this aqua-ish one, but I'm not sure what that one's called. A lot of growth on this Bill Murray right here. A lot of growth on the Red Setosa. The hammers are doing great, but I did lose this very bright orange hammer that I had posted a while back that I got through Jake Adams's, the auction that they did for Jake Adams memorial, and so I'm a bit bummed out about that one. So here are some of the ones from ACI that are still doing really good, and this was a gift from someone, of a splatter one. The rest of my Euphilia or Fimbifrilia, or I can't even pronounce the name, are doing actually very good. A lot of these other acros are doing really good. I've started to see a lot of growth on the Princess Peach in the back there. But my Orange Passion is not doing so great. A lot of STN, and you could tell it's happened for a while because there's a lot of cyano going on right there. I have some Millipora that I'm holding for someone, and it's not dead, but its tentacles are definitely retracted on two of them, and that one's doing fine. The one behind it is doing fine. I forgot, Fireworks, something, I can't remember, something Fireworks. That one looked really good before I left, and it's not doing so great now. A lot of die off on that Millipora right there. That one in the back is doing really good. I apologize if this is coming out blurry because some of these fish get in the way and the camera captures them. So let's see. A lot of the corals here on the right are still doing great. One bummer here is I had this Scully who apparently was flipped over by, I'm sure, a snail or a fish, and by the time I got it turned over, there was a lot of dead skeletons, so that's gone. But overall, again, you got to take your wins and losses, and I'm just very happy that there was no crash here that would have caused a lot more death than there is now. So the upside is that I'll be able to bring this tank back to its glory, and if any of these corals fully die off, because I'm going to leave them there, I'm not going to touch them. I might cut a frag off like the Cali Torch to see if I can get that one to grow out in case this one goes. And I'll do the same for like the Orange Passion and any other ones that have some life in them. And I'll probably put them in my quarantine tank or something like that. Overall, like if they end up dying and I get to keep the frags, then I'll just replant them. Overall, this tank is doing great. Let me take you to the next one. Here we have the anemone tank. And as you can see here, this tank is flourishing. The toadstools never looked better. The Duncans have never looked better. I have to stand this one straight up. This is the leather coral that looks like a Kenya, but it's a blue one. I forgot the exact name of it. The Cineria or whatever, it's doing absolutely awesome. Let's see. I have Sunkissed Bounce mushrooms. They're doing really good. The rock flower anemones are doing really good. And as you can see, all the rainbow bubble tip anemones are doing amazing. And now I saw that one went up there, so I might put that up for sale. But this tank is doing great. Now we have the innovative marine here, and as you can see, this tank here is pretty much done cycling. No ammonia or nitrates detected. Here is the future frag tank, and as you can see, I have a light over it. That's about the only difference with this tank. I have a light over it. The rest of it is still sitting as is, and I do definitely plan on setting this up here in the near future. But again, no rush. It's all about enjoying this hobby and not feeling pressure to really do anything, unless something's going wrong and then you want to do a quick water change. Here's my 40-gallon breeder that eventually will be set up. I did get this sump, which is a Fiji cube sump that gives you the option to add socks or to add a filter pad with this, or they actually have the option that goes with the Fiji cube, which is a filter roller as well. So this is what I was going to use for this if I ended up connecting an overflow to it, and because I have it, then most likely that's the route that I'm going to go. And here we finally have the last two tanks. You'll see, I feel like this is the fastest growing mangrove versus the other two that I have, but I do definitely notice some growth while I was gone. We did actually do a water change on this one because the water was really murky. I feel like Grandpa might have overfed some of these tanks too much, but no deaths, so I guess that's a plus side. I just had to hurry up to do a water change because it looked very murky. And then finally, the tank that I still have no clue what I'm going to do with it, and you'll see that there is a molly in there and a Klein's butterfly fish that is still part of this tank because he is a coral eater. So if you have not seen this before, in the previous videos I mentioned that this guy was moved here. He is great at eating aptasia. He eats every single type of aptasia that I've been able to put in this tank, but he will also eat coral, and that's a big no-no. The one fish I'm not able to find here is the blue jawfish. Even when I've thrown food in here, he has not come out. I have not seen him anywhere around the floor because I know they're jumpers. At this point, I'm not sure, and it's not that big of a tank for it to hide. So we all know what most likely happened to it. Ladies and gentlemen, that will be it for today's update. I really appreciate you tuning in. Those that wished the tank well and wished my trip well, thank you so much. It definitely was a stressful moment to know whether it was going to be a successful trip without any casualties when it came to the reef tanks. And I call this really a success. Bummer that I lost some few things, but hey, at the end of the day, it's better than having a whole tank crash. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I will catch you on the next one.